Growing older doesn't mean fading away, it means stepping into a wiser, more powerful of yourself. They told you aging meant decline. That you'd lose energy, lose intimacy, lose your spark. But they were wrong. I've spent over 25 years as a doctor working with older adults, and let me tell you something I've learned. Some of the strongest, most vibrant people I've ever met are in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. They just needed the right tools, and a little bit of truth, to unlock a whole new chapter of life. My name is Dr. Jennifer. I've worked with thousands of seniors across the country, people just like you, who thought intimacy was over, until they learned it didn't have to be. In today's video, we're going to talk about something most doctors shy away from, but I won't: what happens when you stop having sex in older age? And more importantly, what happens when you start reconnecting with your body, your partner, and your vitality? We'll cover real, natural solutions, including 4 surprising fruits that restore circulation and intimacy after 60. And we'll dive into the science behind why touch, connection, and yes, even sensuality, are not only possible in later years, but essential. If you're watching this and you felt the loss of energy, of closeness, of confidence, I want you to know, you're not alone. And you're not stuck. There are practical, natural ways to turn things around, without risky pills or embarrassing appointments. You can feel good again. You can feel close again. Even in your 70s, your 80s, and beyond. Before we jump in, take a second and hit subscribe if you believe it's time we talk honestly about aging. Click the bell so you don't miss the tools and tips I'll be sharing each week. And in the comments below, let me know, just type 1 if this video helps you, or 0 if it didn't. That simple number lets me shape better content for you moving forward. Now, let's dive into the truth about intimacy after 60. And the quiet danger of letting it fade away. Let's talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, so uncomfortable that many never speak of it again after a certain age. Sex. Not just the act, but the connection, the closeness, the small physical touches that tell you you're still wanted, still seen, still alive. Somewhere after 60, the conversation just stops. Doctors stop asking. Families stop acknowledging it. Even couples, who've shared decades together, stop reaching for each other. Not because the love is gone, but because shame, illness, fatigue, or fear creep in and take its place. Let me tell you about Harold and Jean. Harold is 74. Jean, 72. They've been married for over 40 years. They raised kids. Traveled the country in an RV, shared countless dinners, holidays, and quiet evenings watching the news. But over the last few years, something shifted. Jean went through menopause and didn't feel like herself anymore. Harold had a heart scare and was put on medications that made him feel, well, less like a man. They never talked about it, but the distance started growing. First, they stopped holding hands at night. Then, the goodbye kisses got shorter. Eventually, they stopped touching altogether. Not out of anger, but out of uncertainty. I see this story play out again and again. Behind closed doors, in the quiet corners of marriages and lives, people slowly drift apart, not because they want to, but because they think it's just part of getting old. But that's not the full story. According to recent studies, the rate of sexual activity drops dramatically after age 60. One major study found that by age 70, nearly half of all adults reported being sexually inactive. And by 80, that number climbs even higher. But here's what most people miss: the health consequences of losing that connection go far beyond the bedroom. When physical affection disappears, so do some of the most powerful hormones your body produces. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, drops. Dopamine, which lifts mood and fights depression, drops. Testosterone, important for both men and women, falls even lower. Over time, this can affect everything from memory to blood pressure, immunity, sleep, and even how fast you age. So when we stop being intimate, we don't just lose sex. We lose touch. We lose connection. We lose a vital part of what keeps us emotionally and physically alive. And here's the myth I want to bust today. This isn't about performance. It's not about how often, or how long, or what it looks like. This is about connection. Holding a hand. Sharing a look. Sitting close. Laughing together. Intimacy is a language, and it doesn't have to fade with age. In fact, it shouldn't. Because when intimacy fades, loneliness steps in. And loneliness is not just a feeling, it's a health risk. But the good news is, just like a language, intimacy can be learned again. Rekindled. Even redefined in new and beautiful ways. So if you've been feeling disconnected, don't be ashamed. You're not broken. You're not past your prime. You're simply in a place where so many others are, and there is a path forward. In the next segment, I'll share what science now tells us about intimacy and longevity. And trust me, it might surprise you. Stay with me. The surprising science behind senior intimacy. Here's something many people, even doctors, don't say enough. Intimacy in old age isn't just possible, it's powerful. And I'm not talking about just feeling good emotionally. I'm talking about real, measurable changes in your brain, your heart, your immune system, even how fast you age. Let's break it down, simply and gently. Every time you experience touch, affection, or sexual connection, your body releases what I call nature's medicine. These are the same chemicals you made in your 20s and 30s. But now, they're even more valuable. Oxytocin, the connection hormone. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone. It's released during hugging, cuddling, and yes, during sex. In older adults, oxytocin does something incredible. It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and promotes a deep sense of safety and trust. One study even showed that seniors with higher oxytocin levels had stronger social bonds and reported higher satisfaction with life. Think of it like emotional glue. It brings you closer to others, and it brings your body into a state of healing. Dopamine, the joy messenger. Then there's dopamine, your brain's feel-good chemical. When dopamine is flowing, your mood lifts. You feel motivated, engaged, even adventurous. Seniors who maintain physical intimacy have been found to have higher dopamine levels, which are linked to lower rates of depression and even better cognitive function. In fact, some researchers believe dopamine plays a role in protecting the brain from memory loss and early signs of dementia. It's not a cure, but it's part of a healthy, brain-supporting lifestyle. Testosterone, not just for men. Testosterone naturally declines with age, but here's the truth: we need healthy levels to maintain muscle strength, energy, confidence, and sexual function. And it's not just a men's issue, women need testosterone, too. When couples maintain a level of physical intimacy, even just regular touch or affection, testosterone levels tend to stabilize. That means more energy, better bone health, and even improved circulation, which, by the way, helps both men and women feel more alive in their bodies. What this means for your heart, immunity, and pain. Now, let's get practical. What does all this hormone talk really mean for your day-to-day life? For one, intimacy is good for your heart. It's been shown to lower resting blood pressure, which reduces your risk of heart attack and stroke. It also supports your immune system. Oxytocin and dopamine help regulate inflammation and can boost the activity of natural killer cells, your body's infection-fighting agents. And if you live with chronic pain, joint pain, arthritis, old injuries, guess what? Physical affection can raise your pain threshold. That's right, regular touch has been shown to reduce the perception of pain in older adults. Memory and brain aging. Perhaps most surprising? Intimacy protects the brain. Older adults who stay socially and physically connected show slower cognitive decline, better short-term memory, and stronger decision-making skills. Some researchers even say that connection and intimacy might be as important as diet and exercise when it comes to brain health. Isn't that amazing? Something as natural, gentle, and human as affection becomes one of your most powerful health tools as you age. No side effects. No prescriptions. Just you, reconnecting with your body and your relationships. And remember, this isn't about what intimacy should look like. It's about what feels good and meaningful to you. A hug, a slow dance, a quiet hand held during a movie, these things count. And they matter more than most people realize. In our next segment, we'll talk about what happens when that connection fades, and why it's more than just emotional. If you felt the distance growing in your relationship or within yourself, don't miss what's coming next. So far, we've talked about how intimacy supports your health. But now, we need to talk about the other side of the coin. What happens when intimacy fades? What really happens to your body, your emotions, your spirit, when touch, connection, and closeness slowly disappear? It's not always sudden. Sometimes it's subtle. A slow drifting apart. The quiet absence of a hug. A bed that feels too big. A silence that lingers after goodnight. And over time, that lack of connection doesn't just feel lonely, it becomes dangerous. Loneliness, more than a feeling. Let's start with the truth: loneliness is a health risk. The CDC has called loneliness among seniors a growing public health crisis. Why? Because chronic loneliness has been linked to higher rates of depression and anxiety, increased risk of dementia, higher blood pressure, poorer immune function, greater risk of heart disease and stroke. In fact, researchers have found that chronic loneliness is as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And here's the hard part: loneliness doesn't always look like what we imagine. You can be married and lonely. You can have family around and still feel unseen. Because this kind of loneliness isn't about being in a room with people, it's about the absence of meaningful connection. The kind that comes from touch. From being wanted. From feeling close. The emotional toll of disconnection. When that closeness disappears, your body responds. Your brain starts to produce more cortisol, the stress hormone. Over time, this wears down your emotional resilience. You may feel more anxious, more irritable, more tired. You may start pulling away even more, not because you want to, but because it feels safer than risking rejection or disappointment. I've seen this happen in so many of my patients. They stop reaching out. Stop initiating affection. And before long, it becomes the new normal. Quiet. Cold. Isolated. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Physical changes from lack of intimacy. The body doesn't just respond emotionally, it responds physically. Your immune system weakens, making you more prone to infections. Your heart rate becomes less stable, especially under stress. You may experience more inflammation, which contributes to joint pain, fatigue, and even autoimmune problems. Sleep becomes lighter, more restless, and as you know, poor sleep only makes everything worse. And over time, this can lead to a cycle: no connection, higher stress, more health issues, less energy or desire for connection. It's a loop many seniors get stuck in, and often, no one around them even knows it's happening. Warning signs to watch for. So how do you know if you, or someone you love, may be quietly struggling with disconnection? Here are a few subtle signs. Avoiding eye contact or touch with a partner. Withdrawing from conversations or shared activities. Sleeping apart without discussing why. Loss of interest in grooming or self-care. Not feeling seen or valued in a relationship. Saying things like, "I'm just too old for that now." These aren't just habits, they can be signs of emotional hunger. Of a need that's gone unmet for too long. Real talk, it's not about performance. Now, let me be clear about something important. This is not about performance. It's not about how often or how good or what's normal. That kind of thinking is what shames people into silence. This is about connection. About being held. Being kissed. Being desired. About that deep, quiet knowledge that you matter to someone else, in a physical, present, affectionate way. And you deserve that. At 60. At 70. At 90. If you've gone months, years, even decades without that closeness, don't give up. There's still time to rebuild. You can reconnect with your partner, or with yourself. There are simple ways to reopen the door, even if it's just a conversation, a touch, or a quiet moment together. And if you're single, don't worry, we'll be talking about you too. Connection and vitality don't begin or end with a partner. It begins with you, and how you choose to show up for yourself. In the next segment, I'll share practical, natural ways to rekindle intimacy, even if you feel like it's too late. We'll talk about food, lifestyle changes, and mindset shifts that reignite your body and brain from the inside out. Don't miss it. It could be the start of something beautiful. Let me ask you something simple, but powerful. What does sex mean to you now? Because the truth is, for many people over 60, 70, or even 80, that definition begins to shift. And that's not a failure. That's not giving up. That's called evolution. Love doesn't retire. It just gets wiser. Redefining intimacy, no pressure, no performance. See, somewhere along the way, society taught us that intimacy had to look one certain way. That it had to follow a script. That anything less wasn't real. But real intimacy, especially as we age, is not about performance. It's about presence. It's about the moment your partner reaches for your hand in silence. The warmth of a shared blanket. The comfort of being seen, held, and known. After 60, sex doesn't have to mean intercourse. It can mean a long, slow cuddle before bed. Holding each other during a favorite song. Sharing a memory that brings you closer. Eye contact that says, "I still see you." A kiss that lingers, even if your bodies move slower now. These are all forms of sensuality. Of intimacy. And yes, they count. Facing real challenges with compassion. Now, let's be honest. As we age, intimacy can bring new challenges. That's normal, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Some of you may be navigating menopause, with its changes in sensation, dryness, and libido. Erectile dysfunction, ED, which affects more than half of men over 60. Medications that affect desire, stamina, or hormonal balance. Body image issues, especially after illness, surgery, or weight changes. I've seen it hundreds of times. A couple loves each other deeply, but the changes in their bodies start to create distance. Silence replaces affection. Then comes doubt. Resentment. Withdrawal. But here's the good news, none of these challenges mean the end of intimacy. You just need a new roadmap. The new roadmap to intimacy. Start here. 1. Talk, without shame. Say what you miss. What you long for. What still feels good. Open, gentle conversation is your greatest tool. 2. Touch with intention. Lay together. Breathe together. Explore what closeness feels like now, without the need to finish or prove anything. 3. Adjust your environment. Use soft lighting. Play music that calms you. Invest in comfort, pillows, oils, even a warm bath together. 4. Don't rush. Slowness is not a sign of decline. It's a gift. It gives you time to be fully present with each other. A reminder worth repeating. Love doesn't retire. It just gets wiser. That wisdom lives in your touch, your laughter, your gentleness. You've earned the right to love and be loved in this season of life, in a way that is meaningful, stress-free, and yours. In our next segment, I'll share natural ways to rekindle intimacy and energy from the inside out. We'll talk about foods, habits, and small changes that can make a big difference in how you feel and how you connect. And remember, intimacy isn't measured in motion, it's measured in meaning. Stay with me. Now that we've redefined intimacy and removed the pressure, let's talk about how to build it back up, gently, naturally, and at your own pace. Whether you're in a long-term relationship or living solo, the good news is this: you can reignite connection at any age. And it doesn't require dramatic changes, just small, intentional steps that bring you back to yourself, and, if you choose, to someone else. For couples, rebuilding without pressure. If you're in a relationship, try these simple yet powerful practices. 1. Date nights, but simpler. No need for fancy clothes or expensive dinners. Try lighting a candle, turning off the TV, and sharing a slow meal together. Ask each other, "What made you smile this week?" or "What do you miss about us?" These small rituals reopen doors that may have quietly closed. 2. Slow dance at home. Pick a song from your past. One that brings you back. Hold each other. Don't talk. Just move. Even if you sway in place. This kind of touch rewires the nervous system and brings safety back into the body. Shared hobbies. Paint together. Garden. Work on a puzzle. It's not just about physical closeness, it's about doing life side by side. These shared moments foster emotional intimacy that supports physical connection. 4. Open, gentle conversation. Intimacy deepens when we speak our truths. Start with, "I've been missing us." Or even, "This is hard to talk about, but I want to feel close again." Vulnerability invites safety. And safety creates connection. For singles, connection begins with you. If you're not in a relationship right now, this still applies. Intimacy doesn't begin with another person. It begins with your relationship to yourself. You can build sensuality through daily self-massage with lotion or oil. Looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, "I am worthy of love." Spending time in nature, barefoot in the grass, sun on your skin. Finding social circles or clubs that spark joy and human contact. The more you reconnect with your body, your senses, and your spirit, the more alive you feel. And the more you'll attract and recognize genuine connection when it comes. Fuel your fire, food, movement, and calm. Now, let's talk about what happens inside your body, because desire isn't just emotional, it's biochemical. And you can support it through small, natural choices. Nutrition tips for libido and energy. Eat healthy fats like avocados, salmon, and olive oil, they support hormone production. Stay hydrated, dehydration is an overlooked libido killer. Cut down on sugar and alcohol, both can disrupt your nervous system and lower circulation. Focus on zinc-rich foods like lamb, pumpkin seeds, and shellfish, it's crucial for testosterone in both men and women. Gentle movement and stress reduction. Movement doesn't have to mean the gym. Try walking daily, it boosts circulation and mood. Tai Chi or yoga. These connect breath, body, and presence. Breathwork or guided meditation, just 5 minutes a day can calm the nervous system and restore energy. Remember, stress is one of the biggest intimacy blockers. Calm bodies connect better. Natural supplements that may help. While I always recommend talking with your doctor first, some seniors have found support in natural herbs and supplements, including maca root, often used to support libido and energy. Ginseng, shown to help with stamina and circulation. Omega-3s, vital for hormone balance and brain health. These aren't miracle cures, but for some, they gently support vitality in ways that feel good and sustainable. You don't need to do all of this at once. Just choose one small thing this week. Maybe it's a conversation, a walk, a song, a supplement, a touch. Connection, like health, isn't about perfection, it's about momentum. In our final segment, we'll talk about how to create an intimacy mindset. And why your capacity to love and be loved doesn't fade, it just matures. If you're watching this and you're single, maybe you've lost a partner. Maybe you've gone through a divorce. Or maybe you never found that lifelong relationship everyone talks about. I want you to hear me clearly. You are not left out. You are not behind. You are not broken. Sexuality is also about self-love. You don't need a partner to experience intimacy, connection, or even sensual joy. Because your sexuality is not a relationship status, it's a part of your soul. It's in the way you move. The way you nurture your body. The way you allow pleasure, beauty, and presence into your life. Rediscovering sensuality without a partner. Think of sensuality as the art of feeling more, through your senses. Take warm baths with music or candlelight. Try a silk robe or soft cotton sheets, textures matter. Walk barefoot on grass or sand, connect your body to the earth. Practice daily self-touch, not sexual, just nurturing. A hand on your chest. A gentle face massage. A long stretch in the mirror. These small acts reconnect you to your physical self. And they tell your nervous system, I'm still here. I still matter. Rebuilding confidence and connection through community. One of the fastest ways to rebuild your inner spark is through connection that doesn't require romance. Join a dance class for seniors, movement and music are powerful. Try art therapy, poetry groups, or local nature walks. Creative expression brings joy back to the body. Explore touch therapies like massage or Reiki. Human touch, even professionally, releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Consider volunteering. Giving is a beautiful form of connection, and you may meet like-minded people in the process. Real stories, love and joy after 60, 70, even 80. I've had patients who fell in love again at 68. One gentleman in his 70s met a woman in his water aerobics class. They didn't date for the first year. They just laughed. Swam. Shared stories. One day, she reached out and took his hand. And that moment, not a grand gesture, but a gentle one, sparked the beginning of something healing. I know a widow who rediscovered joy through tango dancing. She hadn't touched another human since her husband passed 10 years earlier. But through that rhythm, that connection, she found herself again. Not in another man. In her own body. You deserve this too. Don't let the world trick you into thinking intimacy is only for the young. You've earned this part of life. You've lived. You've grieved. You've endured. And if there's one thing I've learned from decades of working with seniors, it's this. It's never too late to come back to yourself. To feel again. To open again. Intimacy doesn't begin with another, it begins with how you choose to treat yourself. And you are worthy of tenderness. In our final segment, I'll help you create an intimacy mindset. A new way of thinking that keeps you open, vibrant, and connected in this chapter of life and beyond. You've got so much more life to live. Let's live it, fully. Over the past 30 years, I've worked with thousands of older adults, men and women who've lived through wars, loss, heartbreak, and healing. And I can tell you this from experience. The glow doesn't fade with age, it returns with love. I've seen it in my office. Patients come in tired, withdrawn, unsure if the best days are behind them. But something shifts when they begin to reconnect, whether with a partner, a friend, or simply themselves. They start to smile again. They laugh more. They walk taller. Their blood pressure improves. Their sleep deepens. And when I ask what changed, they don't talk about prescriptions or procedures. They say, I feel connected again. That's why this topic, intimacy after 60, isn't a luxury. It's not an afterthought. It's essential to your physical health, mental well-being, and longevity. Because when we feel loved, when we are held, seen, and touched, our bodies respond with life. And that's the real medicine, not just more years, but better years. So let's come full circle. They told you aging meant decline. They told you intimacy was something to let go of. But they were wrong. Because aging doesn't mean giving up. It means evolving. And in this new chapter, you have more wisdom, more presence, and more potential than ever before. Here's what you've learned today. Intimacy improves heart health, immunity, mood, and memory. It strengthens relationships, self-worth, and even longevity. It can be redefined through gentle touch, shared presence, and self-love. Whether you're in a relationship or not, you can build connection again. Small steps, like touch, dance, shared meals, or mindful breath, can bring it all back. But here's the most important part. You have a choice. Every day, you can choose connection. You can reach out. You can speak your truth. You can feel. Again. You are not done living. You are just getting started. Before you go, if this message touched you, leave a comment below. Just type 1 if this helped, or 0 if it didn't. Your feedback shapes every future video we make. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, especially if you know someone who needs to hear this today. There's a whole community here, and you are not alone. From my heart to yours. This is Dr. Jennifer, reminding you. You are loved. You are needed. And yes, you are still glowing. Before you go, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on love and intimacy after 60? Have you rediscovered connection in this chapter of life, or are you still searching? Share your story in the comments below. Whether you're partnered, single, widowed, or somewhere in between. Your voice matters. Your journey matters. And when we speak honestly, we help others heal too. Let's make this a space of respect, understanding, and courage. Because the more we normalize this conversation, the more we rewrite the rules on aging, together. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Someone who might be struggling silently. Someone who just needs to hear. You're not too old. You're just getting started. I'm Dr. Jennifer. Thank you for spending this time with me. And remember, love doesn't retire. It simply grows wiser.